Cool.
I wanted to talk about the role of corporations in our environment. In Canada, we have small, medium, and large businesses. And when I talk about corporations, I'm really talking about the upper end or the large corporate group. Basically, they're defined by their bottom line. And as shareholders, most people in this community would be very happy to hear that their bottom line is what drives them, because their bottom line pays the bills and pays the shareholder his income and his extra earnings from dividends or capital gains or whatever else it is that he's making money on. So he really doesn't have any hope or wish that the corporation is going to look at anything but the bottom line. And he's the owner. And this ownership is spread over a broad group of people, all faceless, all unknown, and often unknowing of what the company is doing, only what they're paying out at the end of the year. So basically we're looking at a situation where a corporation is owned by a board of directors, run by a CEO, and owned by the shareholders. Now, this corporation has its bottom line as its only objective, then it's not worried about the environment. It's not worried about the community, and it's not worried about its employees except as those items affect its bottom line. It's not human. It exists to provide a profit. And once you get that image in your mind of what it's supposed to do, you have to recognize that it does it very efficiently and very effectively. That doesn't mean that we cannot or should not or do not need to provide a balance for that corporation. And that balance occurs in many ways. Some of it is regulations from government, where the government says you have to meet these environmental laws, you have to meet these labor laws, you have to meet these regulations to survive in our country. Some of it is from a union perspective that says you have to treat our employees in a certain way, we expect a certain pay for work, we expect to be part of the direction that this company takes. We want to have a say in what kind of remuneration and pension and benefits you're going to supply for our employees. Sometimes it's the community that lives around the corporation where the corporation does business that says, we can't live with you in this community if you don't respect who we are. So basically, there are certain pressures on this corporation. One of those pressures is unions, and I'd like to talk a little more about that. Unions are developed by the employees of a company to plan and involve themselves in the development and future of the company and where it's going to go and how viable it's going to be and how safe the working place is going to stay. And as they move forward together in a partnership, they develop a better company, a more secure future, and a more committed employment group. Occasionally, and we're talking about very seldom, there is a dispute when the contract comes to resolution. And that dispute is between two organizations, a union and a company, who have relatively the same power, the same involvement, the same commitment, and the same investment in terms of if the company is not viable, nobody wins. So we've really got a balance of power going in there. As soon as we as a company, this company can say, we do not want to negotiate, we don't think we have to deal with you, we're unhappy with the union, all of these issues that have come up have made us in a conflict situation, and we're just not going to deal with you. And we're going to get replacement workers, and we're going to deliver our product without reference to our employees. Well, once that happens, and you allow replacement workers, what you've done is you upset the balance of power. Basically, you've said, we have a poker game with both sides coming in, one has money and one doesn't. On the table, and the one that doesn't put the money on the table is the company. Thank you. I really wanted to talk a little more about replacement workers not necessarily about how they impact on the company or on the union, but rather how they impact on the community. I'm a community developer. That means I work with people who live and survive in the community. And I know that the folks that take these replacement worker jobs are desperate. They have never had a chance at a short-term employment that pays that kind of money. They've never had the chance to gain the skills and abilities that this opportunity is going to give them. So for them to turn it down is to deny their family any kind of access to a future improvement. On the other hand, when they take a person's job and become a replacement worker, they're not admired by the community. They're not respected for the fact that they're working hard, and they provide an image of the individual who is benefiting from the strikers' stand to gain better employment conditions. And they're taking the very employment that the strikers are demanding for themselves. And that causes a lot of difficulty for both sides of the picture, for the replacement worker and for the employee that's on strike. And it causes a separation among the community that is divisive, brother against brother, friend against friend, neighbor against neighbor, that takes decades to overcome and to grow out of. Such divisiveness retards the development of the whole community for the near future and often causes conflict and confrontation during the process and ends up with mistrust and lack of respect for both sides. So both of those sides have great wounds that come out of this process. There's a second way of looking at this, and that is that the community itself gets divided. For and against the company, the union, the replacement workers, and it separates us into we and they, and they always are doing things that hurt us or we. So basically, we're just finding better walls to build between members of our community so that they can never become a cohesive unit for change, that they can never heal those wounds and build a future that reflects the needs of all.